So, right then, hello, Sonia. We're here to
Hi.
discuss the tragic case of your husband, Pascal, who was convicted for 20 years, was it?
20 years, yeah.
Incredible, for this explosion that occurred in a part of Liverpool called New Ferry.
New Ferry, yeah.
And you had a furniture shop there
Hmm.
that you had acquired. You have admitted it was a relatively rundown sort of area. Is that
It
right to
was, yeah.
say?
It's not in Liverpool itself, it's on the Wirral,
On the
which is
wood.
just across the water.
Yeah,
Yeah, it was a very rundown area, mainly made up of charity shops, a couple of pubs, and a well-known pie shop.
all right.
Um, Nothing much there.
Yeah.
The bank, the last bank that they had was a Lloyd's Bank, and even that closed down.
But we're all, as I understand it, it's supposed to be a relatively prosperous place, isn't it? Over the other side of the water from Liverpool.
Parts of it,
Parts.
not no, like Bergenhead, New Ferry,
Sorry.
Rock Ferry, all around there is pretty run down.
Sorry about that. Yeah. So there you are. You rented the place, is that right?
Yeah, we went to look at it. We looked at several properties beforehand, but this one
Yeah.
fitted the bill because it was big.
Yeah.
It was a one-stop shop before. So it my husband was so excited when we saw it. I was a bit reluctant, to be honest, because I sort of knew the area more than he did.
Right.
Um, but it did fit the bill. It was an amazing like shop for what we wanted to do. Yeah.
So there you are. You agreed with this other guy called. He was a sleeping partner. His name was.
Graham, yeah.
His
He was
surname
with
was.
us. God, I can't think of his
His
name.
surname was. Oh, I can't-
I am so sorry. I've just had a blank.
that's all right.
But yeah, he was a silent partner. So he was what happened was Pascal took him under his wing because he had just lost his wife.
Oh,
So then they went looking for premises, and we found this one, and they said it was suitable. But he was like a carpenter. He was an ex fireman. Um, he had the knowledge to like put things together. Um,
hmm.
yeah, I mean, for the first trial, he was questioned, but we weren't allowed to bring him in. Apparently, they said that his phone put him where he said he was. But when I questioned this, because our phone actually put us where we said we was, and they said it wasn't relevant.
It's a preposterous suggestion anyway, because he could have left the phone anywhere.
This is
Um,
what we said, yeah. We
and
said
I
this
mean,
guy's
I
solicitor.
I mean, I've had the police telling me that my phone, I could have had another phone, so there you were. Your husband was basically in charge of. It was his idea to get the place. He got
Mhm.
this other guy, Brian, into it, who presumably put a bit of money into it as well. I'm
Right.
assuming.
Yeah. No,
Yeah.
he didn't. He didn't put any
No.
money in. He just his deal was that he helped fix furniture, he did some deliveries, um and as the shop did well, then he said he would like to invest in it. Um he was just like a handyman, I suppose, as well.
Yeah.
Um and he did fix things. I mean, he fixed a door that didn't need fixing. This I
Yeah.
brought up in the first trial as well. We had a fire door that was in the middle of the shop,
Mm.
and he changed the locks on this door. Um, and I did have a go at him. I said, we didn't ask you to change the locks. And he said, well, I thought it needed changing. And he put a fire key thing, so you bang it to get the key out. He said
All
that
right.
he would give us a set of keys, but he never did. So
All
I,
right.
I didn't like that either. So he would come and go in the shop as he pleased. I mean, I'd go there sometimes in the morning to open up before Pascal, and he'd already be there, which I found really odd.
And he
Um,
always had his laptop with him.
Always, yeah,
And so,
always,
and he left it there.
yeah. He
He left
was.
it.
I didn't understand. I didn't understand his purpose really for being
No.
there, and no. Um,
So, So it was. I understand. So it was a sort of easy come, easy go kind of. It wasn't a straightforward relationship with him in that
Yeah,
sense.
we had
But
a little bit of a disagreement because um, he would talk to me as if he was like the owner of the shop, and I
I
didn't like
understand.
that. So yeah,
No, I
there
can
was
see
always
that.
a bit of confrontation there.
Right. So there were issues there anyway.
Yeah,
So
with
that. So then, when you rented the place, you were told it was run on electricity.
yeah. So when we were sorry, when we were shown around the building, obviously we were shown how the shutters work, um, where the alarm system was, and we were told that it was run on electricity. We There was no gas in the building; it was electricity.
It was
That's
all.
what we were told.
And you,
Yeah,
who told you that? The
the
person renting it out.
agents. Yeah, the
The agent.
agents
So
that showed us around.
the agents told you specifically that there was no gas in the
No
place.
gas, no gas
But
in place, and we only ever had electricity bills, never gas.
you
Um,
never had gas bills.
no.
So that the second thing is that the gas suppliers had wrongly identified your address or where the gas pipe was supposed to be. That I've forgotten the name of the its initials, but it's the gas supplier in any event.
Yeah,
So
it is.
they had actually wrongly identified the
Yeah,
house that they were supposedly dealing with. So in
yeah.
that sense, you had a
To get,
gas inlet
yeah.
in a box you didn't know was there. Well,
Well,
you
we
didn't.
did. It was in, we had three toilets. So we had because obviously it was an office. So we had the men's toilets, the women's toilets, and a disabled toilet. And this box was a sealed box. Like I said in court, that I used to stick my toilet roll on top of it,
Yeah,
for the
yeah, it's on me. Yeah.
customers. Yeah. Um, and they said to me, "Didn't you ever look into it?" And I said, "Why would I break open a
Exactly.
box
No,
that's
no,
sealed?" And then
silly
they said to
question.
me, "Well, there was a little hole in the bottom of the front of this box." And I said, "Well, I wasn't getting on my knees to look for a little hole.
No,
Why
no,
would I do that?" But
no, no,
like,
no.
and if, like I said in the court as well, being that it's a rented property, I'm not going to start destroying like fixtures.
No, no,
Why? No, I
no.
wouldn't.
No, I can
Yeah.
see that. So, but in that sense, in the general way that we would think about it, Pascal didn't really know it was there.
No,
He didn't think it was functional. There had been
we didn't
smells
have
of
to think about it. We didn't have to think that
yeah.
it was functional because we thought it was electricity. We didn't think that
So
there
it
was
didn't
any
even
gas. It
it
didn't
sort
cross
of
our
didn't cross
minds.
your mind. Exactly,
No,
it didn't cross your mind. You just didn't
no,
think about it.
no.
And so, in that case, the gas company was responsible for the supply of the gas, and
Yeah,
and that and they didn't know that they were had the gas fitting in your house. They had or in your shop. They had got
no,
the wrong address anyway. So
yeah.
they went looking for the house, and they went to the wrong place, as I
Mm.
understand it.
And in that
So
area, there was always the gas company were always in the area because there was always a smell of gas up and down that bit.
yeah,
Um, I don't know whether I mentioned, but there was a pub called the Penny on the corner, and he
mm,
was one of our witnesses because he came in and he said that he could smell gas in his building, and they came in and they took out a pipe that had a massive hole in it, and he
all right.
said that the residents of that area were like the lynch mob. They were really out for Pascal, and so he said that he came into court to tell the court what was happening, and he said it could have been him like standing in the dock. There was so many issues in the area with because it was old pipe work, so
Yeah.
it was like an issue in that area. They were called
And
out a couple of days before.
yes, I was
um
going to say there had been previous visits
yeah,
and there was a smell of gas, but they
yeah,
didn't think it would have been your shop
no.
because they thought
it,
that you weren't even supplied.
but what is funny with that is when we were in court, because we said there was always a smell of gas, and they said that Pascal did a trial run. So apparently,
Oh,
what he
well,
did
that's
is
pure.
I know. Apparently, what he did is turn the gas on, left it on, and then came back in the shop and turned it off. he had a trial run of letting the gas out. I mean, that's preposterous. Why would you do that? You wouldn't even do that
You
in your
haven't got
house.
any evidence or any proof of it. It's
No.
pure speculation.
Yeah.
I think we've seen in other miscarriages. That's exact. I mean, dare I say the Lucy Letby case?
I
I
know.
mean, it's a classic case.
Yeah, it's
The post office
yeah.
case, the Birmingham Six. I mean, this is why I've got in. I mean, they did it to me. I won't go about my case, but they did it to me, so I've seen it done,
Mm.
making up evidence, and then
Yeah.
the judge
There was
actually
no
believing.
there was no actual concrete evidence. It was all like innuendos and hearsay
Circumstantial,
and yeah, circumstantial.
circumstantial.
Even the witnesses that I had, it was like they were all reading from a template. They all sort of said the same thing. It was terrible. It was really, really awful.
No, I mean
The first,
the
sorry,
no. Well, I mean these. I mean the CPS, the defence lawyers very often collude with the CPS.
I do believe
This
that.
is
Yeah.
the it's Findlay and Scott 2006, page 336. That's what
Mm,
really got me started. So it's well known that defence lawyers very often will not actually defend their clients because
mm,
they're colluding with their colleagues. They're all
mm.
lawyers, so they're all birds of a feather. They speak the same
And
language to you.
we were so the first case, it
Yes, we've
was
got to
like a
come to
hung
that.
jury. Yeah. It's they didn't reach a verdict. And that was all about the gas explosion. The second case was different. It wasn't about the gas explosion. It was about the case that he was on the verge of bankruptcy, which is ridiculous.
Yeah.
But apparently, I was told that it was the way the judge sum things up that he can get away with what they're saying. So, on the verge of bankruptcy, they can say that. And it was almost like a terrorist act. That's why he got 20 years. That's how they did it. Throughout the case as well, the New Ferry community bullied me and my family. I was a witness, and I still had to sit in the same foyer with the New Ferry community. I was called names. I was bullied. Sorry, it gets me really wound up.
Yeah, of course.
My family were called names. I asked um, if I should have had some sort of protection, and they said no. It's a very sensitive case.
Very sensitive
Um,
case.
yeah, it was awful. Then the CPS, when my husband was sentenced, that was awful because we never managed to get any seats in the courtroom. They always let the other side in, but not my side, so we never got to sit because there was no room. Um,
Right.
and on the day of the verdict, sorry, I get emotional. We managed to get into the court before they did, and we sat in the court, and then they came in and they, can I swear? she said, I'm not sitting next to that effing C. Um, so the
Lovely.
CPS stood over me, literally while I was sitting down, stood over me, looking down at me, and said, "You don't need to worry. You see where the jury sits over there. You can go and sit there." He said, "You can watch Pascal in the dock as he's being sentenced. You can see his face, and you can watch his wife's face." Um, yeah,
They said that
um,
to you.
yeah, yeah.
They said you can watch his wife's face.
No, they said it to them that you
Oh,
can
I
watch
see.
wife's face while her husband's being sentenced. So
Okay.
they were saying, he was saying that they had prime view to watch us as he's being sentenced. The judge also said that there was to be no outburst in the courts because it would be
Mm,
dealt with strongly.
mm.
When he did the verdict, my husband collapsed, and so did I actually. But
Well, I'm not surprised.
they went mad in the court. They were
Yeah.
screaming and hugging, and nothing was done. Nothing was done.
Okay.
It was
Let's just take a step back now. There were two cases.
yeah,
The first case was the case against Pascal.
Yeah, so the first case was the gas explosion.
the gas
Uh,
explosion, and
yeah,
and in that he was found guilty.
no,
Obviously,
they couldn't
that's
meet, they couldn't come to a verdict on
oh.
the
So what
first
did
case.
they do then? So they had a
They,
retrial.
yeah, it
I
was
see. So
about
they went through it
over a
again,
year later. Yeah, so
and
they
so
reconfigured the case and then went from it at a different approach. Um,
and then they got found him guilty.
Also, in the first case, which is really relevant, is that we weren't allowed to say anything in court about the gas company being fined
I'm
or
going to
that,
come to that. Absolutely. Let's just move on.
yeah,
I'm going to come to that. Don't worry. So, but I've noticed that the evidence from the person who looked at the gas pipe, the lever, there's disputes. It's Mark Thomas,
yeah,
the
Mark
solicitor
William
you had.
Collins. He's an investigator.
Right.
We paid him some money to investigate, but it just got too expensive. We couldn't do it anymore.
No, that's completely honest. And I understand. Sorry. So there was the first case.
Yeah,
They didn't get a majority verdict, or the verdict they couldn't just make a decision.
no,
So that tells us something. So then they reran the case
yeah.
and then found a jury that would find him guilty. That's basically what we're saying.
Well,
Now then,
what to our solicitors is why can't we move the case? Because it was very biased. It and the people that were sitting in the jury, they all knew each other. It's like a small community, and someone knows this one, this one's cousin, this one's friend. And I said to them, he doesn't stand a chance here. Why can't we just move it? And
to
it
another
always,
place.
yeah, another place outside of Liverpool.
Yeah, understandable.
Yeah, because
You could have very easily put that case, and your solicitors should have done it. I would have done it if I'd seen, the tension. That obviously that's what I would have said. This is not the suitable place to hear them. It's got to go somewhere else. So that's number one. The second thing is the whole nonsense about this lever. I mean, that was the first thing that, when you told me about it in the first instance, that was the thing that made the back in my mind something wasn't right. It's the same with the Lucy Letby case. It was the baby O. It was one when there's a mistake. There can be other mistakes, and the more I've got into your case, we can see the mistakes that were played out. But anyway, the first case, it was against Pascal. They didn't get the first case, so they gave him a trial. They gave another trial where they did find him guilty, and then there was a second, and he was sentenced, obviously. And then there was a second case, and I think this is the interest. Well, I say interesting only from a professional point of view, but the second case was because the gas supplier had obviously been negligent.
yeah,
They didn't know that that pipe had gas in it. And
yeah,
there was a lot of, I think, was it they had to pay £363,000
yeah.
to the
They were,
council,
yeah, they were fined, and they paid half the court costs.
and they
Yeah,
paid half the course costs. And so you had these two instances where, in fact, the gas company had really put you and your husband at risk.
yeah.
They
We
didn't
asked.
know that.
Well, we said that we used to stay back sometimes. I said this in court to rearrange the furniture or stuff. So on that Saturday, we could have been in the shop. Like we could have been victims of that gas explosion. Yeah,
I would have. I would have sued them for that. I mean,
yeah.
it seems incredible to me I mean, they didn't allow this to be mentioned in Pascal's trial.
Right. We weren't allowed to. We were told that we would be held in contempt of court. We weren't allowed to say it.
I mean, I completely dispute that, and I think that is another, that is another point that would make it an unfair trial. I
Mm.
can't see how you could be possibly. It's obvious that if the local council is set to make a lot of money
Yeah,
out
they
of
were.
the failures of
Mm.
the gas supply people, who would in fact put you and your husband at risk, and they
And the
were trying
customers,
to. Hmm?
obviously, it was top, so customers are coming and going as well. So, yeah.
I mean, it's preposterous. And at that point, when I started to figure that one out, it's preposterous because I mean, I'm firmly of the school. The local councils are a law unto themselves because, of
Mhm.
course, it includes the CPS. It
Yeah.
includes the local bureaucrats. All have an interest. I don't know whether they all used to meet on the golf club. In the golf club, I think they meet in the tennis club now and make their arrangements because 363,000, that's a lot of money. So obviously
Mm.
that brings questions immediately. So I mean, I don't know where. I mean, I do know about defense lawyers, and they are, when I say lawyers are not to be trusted, what I mean is you have to make sure they are trustworthy, because my experience of solicitors in Bournemouth, for example, where I live here, it's what I call the old lag system. They've done this, although this case was your Pascal's case was rather extraordinary in the extraordinary explosion. They tend to work as a team. They're not really interested in the defendants. They're interested in their incomes. So it's really not surprising had they I mean, I've seen it. Sean, as a similar case actually, and with me, they were just making it up because they had a reason to dislike me because I don't like them. They had a reason to dislike Sean because of his political views, perhaps. But obviously, they had a problem. You said you had problems with the council previously. Can you just outline what sort of
So
problems you had with?
when when the shop wasn't doing so well, I went to look at other properties. They brought this up in court as well. Why am I surfing the internet? You obviously wanted to get out. We had a get out. We had a
Sorry.
we were we
Yeah,
had
you
a
had a get
year
out clause.
we had a year's lease, but we had a get out clause. We could get out within that year.
So you'd
This
only been there a year.
we hadn't been there a year, seven
You
months.
had
This was
seven.
a fledgling built this was a fledgling business. So we both been in furniture, like selling furniture for a long time. So we knew that it wasn't going to take off straight away. It's not you can't take off straight away. It takes time and effort. Um, we put everything into it. I mean, all our savings to this shop. So yeah, so I was saying I was looking. So they said, "Oh, but why were you looking?" I went to the council office and I said to them, "Look, we've started looking. That's another thing. We were paying um, council tax. It's council tax, isn't it? We were paying council tax on our. It was really high, and they said that when we got there, that they would help us with it if we had problems because they wanted us to stay there.
It's
But I,
business rates.
yeah, business rates. So I was talking to a couple of people. There was a hairdresser, and she said they don't pay any. So a lot of the shops that were there didn't pay any. So it was like
Oh,
we
right.
all of them. So I said to them, like you said, you would help, um, and we're going to move if we can't meet the bills. So we were never out of pocket. We were never in any debt. We had a house, a flat that was rented. I was working. There was no outstanding bills on my house. There was no outstanding bills on the shop. And yet they said in the second trial that we were on the verge of bankruptcy. How is that bankruptcy? We we
No,
we weren't we were nowhere near bankrupt. And as I said, we had that get out clause. So it wasn't suspicious. We could move within that year. They said that that was suspicious because I was looking. But if you were looking to buy a house, you'd be surfing the net, like to look for properties. It didn't make any sense. None of it
I
made
can see
sense.
that. Well, of course, the whole thing was that they said that Pascal deliberately moved the gas meter and then put a fire on. And of course,
Yeah,
then there were disputes. There were disputes about how much gas needs to be in a building for it to even ignite, and so even that wasn't sorted out, was it? I have to say, at this minute,
yeah.
we've been given 10 more minutes, so we've got to. This thing will close in 10 minutes. Just to warn you. So what were you going to say? Sorry.
The other thing I was going to say is that the issue we had with the shop is that it had really dense shutters, and the windows had that glass where you can't see. It's got, because it was like all glass, so it's to stop the heat coming in. The Chinese shop, a customer from there said they saw a light in the shop, and that's why they say about the fire. But the only light that you could see in our shop was the alarm, and that's at the back of the shop. You
Yeah.
know, you if they said they saw a light, they wouldn't have been able to see a light apart from that one. And this fire that they said was there was in the front of the shop. So, and they said that we took all the furniture out. We were a furniture shop, so obviously we delivered furniture and we had furniture coming in. That's why we had vans round the back. Said there was
Well,
vans round.
that's what they call that is confirmation bias. I don't know if you've heard of it, but it's actually my major. It's confirmation bias is when you only look for evidence that proves guilt, and you ignore evidence that disproves guilt. And so this is really a classic case of confirmation bias. Although it seems to me so bad that actually it looks like what Michael Norton at the False Allegations Watch at Bristol University calls rather, he calls it an abortion of justice. In other words, it's a setup, it's deliberate. And so it seems to me, I mean, from what I've read and what I've seen, there was big money behind it because a lot of damage had been done. That's true. But they needed a scapegoat. They
Yeah,
needed someone to blame
yeah,
because it was the gas company that was to fault.
yeah,
And if the gas company had been at fault, perhaps they wouldn't have got the 363,000. We don't know because it would have immediately gone bankrupt.
yeah.
They would have declared bank.
We actually asked for the gas engineer to be brought in, and the gas company said that they wouldn't bring him in, to put on the stand because it wouldn't be in their best interest.
No,
They didn't
well,
even
they were.
know,
I,
like,
I, so what we got to kind of summarize now, but I think you were set up, or Pascal was. I think
yeah,
that it was a rundown area that they were trying to regenerate, let's say, and what happened was just sheer incompetence. The gas company didn't know where the gas was. The gas was leaking. You put the fire on to go. I mean, I wonder why did you switch? That's the other thing. Why did Pascal put the fire on to warm the place up? I assume.
yeah, just on his desk area because it was a massive shop and it did
Yeah.
get cold. But
Oh, yeah.
you know, very careful. He did turn it off. I'm sure he did. I mean, even if they said that it was switched on, like I said, this building went up and went down. So many things would have been moved, and
Yeah.
it's just
Oh, it is ridiculous, and you'll be pleased to know that I've seen many ridiculous cases and some very significant ones. A lot of them less so. But what we can say is that you were told there was no gas in the house,
yeah,
in the building.
yeah,
You weren't bankrupt.
no,
You were fed up with the situation and you wanted to move because the
yeah,
area wasn't very good.
no,
The gas company was plainly irresponsible, to put it mildly. The local council was probably desperate for money anyway, as most of them seem to be. I don't know what they spend their money on. And so that
mm,
in the end, they had to have somebody to blame. Now,
yeah,
in criminal investigations, there's something called behaviorism, and that is that it effectively they do what is called build a case.
yeah,
And so that what's happened in Pascal's case is that he had a case built against him, and really when that happens you get collusion between the different, as I've said, the judge. I mean, very often the judge is the one who ends up doing the prosecuting. The judge is supposed to be an independent and objective judge,
mm,
but he's acting. Maybe it's in their mindset that they're just prosecutors by nature. I don't know, but at this point we'll find out. But I think that that's really the issue, is that I think Pascal was set up, and obviously that makes it just the more upsetting for you because that's what
yeah,
you feel, I suspect, and I think all the evidence point to it. And the letter from Mark Williams Thomas makes it clear to me that there were obvious flaws, and I mean, they had to have two trials. The first trial didn't happen, they didn't come to a decision, so that they
yeah.
had, instead of saying he was not guilty, they said, well, we'll try you again till we get you. So that's my view. I mean, do you have anything, I mean, you'd like to say at the end here as we?
And was convicted, and he's innocent, 100% innocent. He was just used as a scapegoat. He really
Yeah, it
was.
was good. Yes, I
Wasn't like
agree.
because of we weren't from around there, and he was an easy target for them. So,
No. Well, I think that's right. And so, I mean, obviously, what we'll do next is get those papers done for those Jordans in
okay.
Doncaster, I think it is, and
Yeah.
we'll need to get that organised. But I think that's really all we need to talk about. I think you've been really good. You've
Thank
got all
you.
the details of it. I know that, I know with cases, you get so embroiled in the detail of it in some respects, it gets people off the case, when in
Yeah.
fact it's simple. The Blasio was set up so that they could get the money from the insurance from the gas company, and well, I mean,
100%.
I don't know how people have got they've got no shame. I've written a
Yeah.
piece for false allegations wash on the lack of shame of these prosecutors, and I think that's really what we're looking at here. So I think
Yeah.
we can. The only question is whether or not did you appeal?
We
Did
haven't
he
yet.
appeal? No, that's
It.
the point.
I've been said again, haven't I? Like I've been told that I can't appeal unless I find new evidence. Um. Uh. It's a big case. I can't get legal aid. I've got no money. So
Well, I don't think that's true that you can't get legal aid. You can for miscarriages of justice. And if you've got a lawyer worth his worth, he'll do it. The problem is the poor quality, not even the poor quality, the dishonesty of a lot of solicitors. And it's not my words. That's Findlay Scott, 2006. It's well reputed. It's not a ridiculous claim, as we'll see with as we've seen with the post office and etc. So I think that we'll send the information to Jordan's,
yeah. Okay.
and I'll stop this now, but don't go anywhere because I want to chat to you.
Okay.